joined the Army when I was 17 years old. When did we cross the border? I'm like, well, we didn't really cross the border. The border kind of crossed us. I played soccer, got into boxing, delves into like death. As a kid, I was very obedient, but I was very shy, very quiet, very reserved, like the nightmares, the night terrors. And then I will never be the man that he is. You know, my true north is my father.
And how long were you in New Mexico for?
My entire childhood, right? So I joined the Army when I was 17 years old.
Did you have to get your parents to sign the waiver?
Yeah, that was a bit of a challenge, especially for my father. He wasn't really too supportive of it, given some of his experiences in Vietnam. But, you know, he's supportive, you know, once we just talked to him a little bit more about it. But, my whole family's from southern New Mexico. I like to joke around sometimes. So my family's from a part of the country where people ask sometimes, like, hey, so when did your family come to the United States, or when did we cross the border? I'm like, well, from a town in Columbus, New Mexico. And I said, well, we didn't really cross the border. The border kind of crossed us. So it's like right on the border of Mexico, right? So as our nation grew and New Mexico was annexed and the border was drawn, by the sheer grace of God, our family home was probably about 200 meters just north of the Mexico-U.S. border.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, you said that your grandfathers fought in World War II, correct?
Right.
So obviously your family's been here for generations, and you guys have been huge supporters of the United States and believe in America, obviously patriots, you know, like you don't fight in World War II or in Vietnam and the global war on terror. You know, your family lineage is serving the nation. So you guys have obviously got a vested interest and love this country and the opportunities that it's afforded all of us. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, man. And let me ask you this. What kind of things did you do when you were a kid?
So growing up, I played soccer, I played soccer, and then, I got into boxing when I was younger as well. So I kind of still train with that. And I don't fight no more, but I did that growing up, and I'm the oldest of four. Okay. 3 younger brothers, of course, that helped take care of that. With families, come from a very supportive, loving family, traditional, Mexican Catholic family.
Catholic? Okay.
So I was
a lot of Catholics.
Boy. Yeah, altar boy at the church. And it's a funny thing. So as a kid, I grew up back, in the 80s. I'm a little older. I was born in 74, so I'm 51 years old. Yeah. But in the 80s, I got into Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, no kidding.
Back then, it wasn't cool to be a nerd. So me and all my homeboys, we would like hide. We'd save up to buy, the books and all that. It was expensive. They still are. And we would like secretly play Dungeons and Dragons because, you didn't tell anybody you played Dungeons and Dragons back then. So I was a little bit of a nerd as well.
That's funny. I'm kind of a nerd myself. I got a bunch of anime tattoos. And funny enough, when I first started watching anime, you used to get beat up for telling people you watched anime. So you kept it secret. You didn't tell anybody. Now it's cool. Playing Dungeons and Dragons is probably cool now.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, and then like Warhammer 40K came out in the 80s. So I got into that like at the start. I have a ton of Warhammer toys I'm at the point in my life now where like I buy toys for my grandsons, and then I buy me a toy every now and then, right? So
don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. You know what I mean?
There you go. And then my sons got me into anime, and we always ask that question, hey, what are your top 3, right? If you ask someone what their top 3 anime is, you'll learn a lot about that person if they watch anime.
Yeah.
So
what was your top 3?
So mine, Jormungand was one of them, but then Akame got killed. Like, I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one, like I watched it and I'm like, wait a minute, like that one got me. Yeah. And then, my third one, I'm almost going back and forth on, but I think, it's a tough one. I think it's Black Lagoon. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's kind of a dark one, and that one's like really dark because that one might even be my number one. Sometimes it depends on my mood, but just check it out, watch it. But it delves into like death. Okay, it might be to me. I watched it, and then there were certain points, given some of my experiences in life and service, particularly, how it touched on death and dealing with death and the brutality of it. And it's a very interesting one. So Black Lagoon.
They that's one of the things that I think that has gotten people more interested in anime is like the storytelling aspect, because there's always some sort of way that they highlight very human experiences that folks can relate to regardless of what walk of life they came from, whether it be from like, whether they served in the military, whether they were, grew up in the hood and were poor and there was just a lot of violence surrounding them all their life, And then there's a lot of stories of people overcoming adversity, and everybody faces adversity. So it's like that. And it kind of gives people hope that, I can get over this too. If they got over that crazy scenario, and like maybe there's like a little fantasy involved, but there's a lot of good, like, I guess you could say like daily lesson type stuff that you could learn something that's pretty valuable from a lot of that stuff. I encourage people to check some of that stuff out occasionally, just because it's good to have like some sort of, especially as a kid, if you don't have any mentors or good teachers in your life, maybe you learn something that, from that about like, hey, because they do a lot of like laying out like moral foundations and like how to be a good, honorable human being and things like that. And I've always appreciated that aspect. So in any case, so you did some Warhammer 40K, did some D&D, some anime. You said you joined at 17, and when you joined at 17, what contract did you sign up for? Was it just like 11 Bravo? Or?
No. So when I enlisted, so the long-winded story of it is so I graduated high school right when I was about 16. At one point, I used to be really smart, so I skipped a grade in school.
Oh, wow.
And so I tried college, and I was not mature enough for that. I was very, as a kid, I was very obedient, but I was very shy, very quiet, very reserved. And so then I tried to convince my father to let me to join, because that's what I always wanted to do growing up. I played with the Green Army men. I get from Kmart. That was my toys, and I collect them. And joined the Army when I was 17, and I got my father to sign the contract under the promise that it would be a delayed entry, and I'd wait till I turned 18. So he let me join when I was 17, and then right after I found a contract that would let me leave. But what I wanted to do back then is always wanted to be a special forces guy. I always wanted to be a Green Beret, and it was like Rambo, right? The First Blood, and then I saw that before I saw the Green Berets with John Wayne, and I just loved. I was like, damn, that's cool. The thing I liked about Rambo was he was just trying to get through, right? If anyone watched his First Blood Rambo, the guy was just like, look, man, I'm just trying to get through. And, he was carrying his weight. And I think what I identified with that was, he had his post-traumatic stress that I think people watch that and look at it at a different lens and look at what the gentleman was dealing with. Yeah. And how he wasn't welcomed back into society. It's a story about a Vietnam veteran. Yeah, that was come back and just shunned, and then all right, you kick the bear, now the bear's gonna come after you, right? Yeah, and so that always appealed to me as a child, because growing up, my father, he thankfully he's still with us, but one of the reasons he didn't want me to join was some of his experiences, and I remember Vietnam. As a kid, right? I remember as a kid, I would hear him at night. Like the nightmares, the night terrors. And then thankfully still with us, he battles Agent Orange. I mean, he's a phenomenal. I mean, I will never be the man that he is. I will try to every day, but that's my, my true north is my father.
What branch was he in?
He was an Army guy.
He's an Army guy.
And so all of that kind of as a kid impacted me. So I was like, that's why I wanted to be a Green Beret. Okay. Right. Yeah. Charlie Sheen came out with Navy SEALs too. That was cool.
Oh,
but that was just, I don't know. There's something about the struggles that he was going through. I urge anybody to watch it now and look at it a little bit differently, as opposed to just some badass that some country folk messed with and got jacked up because of it. Yeah. But look at it from a different point. And as a kid, it just resonated with me, and I was like, man, because I identified that. I saw that this badass as my dad. Okay. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I can hopefully someday be like my dad. Yeah. Right. I want to understand more about my dad. I want to, and whenever my dad or my grandfathers or my great uncles, because my grandfather served, but all their brothers served as well in World War II. And one of my uncles was was a part of a bombing crew that, as he puts it, delivered good news over Germany. That's what he said. delivered good news over Germany. I'm like, you were on a bomber.
You were dropping bombs,
23 right? missions, something just crazy.
You weren't dropping pamphlets.
Yeah, no, he was not doing that. But, they would always talk about those to their left and right. Right? Yeah. They never talked about the war, never glamorized it. So those are my heroes. So then when I saw First Blood, Rambo, if you look at it, the most endearing parts of that movie are when he's going to see his friends and the impact when he finds out that one of his friends passed away, right? Like that. So that's that familia, that aspect of my familia And then here's another way to build your familia. So I was believed growing up, that's how you make a positive impact in the world, is you start with your familia, start close and support your familia, be there for your family. But familia isn't almost blood, as you and I know, and many of your listeners and people watch, but I look at some of those that I've gone overseas with, been downrange with, or just served with, period. We don't have to get shot at for me to follow, like call you my brother or my sister.
Yeah.
That grew. So that always appealed to me as well. So that kind of drove me a little bit to go into that. But at that point in the Army, you couldn't go in to be a Green Beret. You had to be a E4 promotable. So I was like, well, I'll go be a Ranger. Right. So I do my research.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'll go be in one of the Ranger battalions. So then I go to the MEPS, and of course, I fell for the tricks. I'm like, hey, I want to be in Ranger battalion. They're like, well, you need airborne. Here's an airborne slot. And it was I was a 16 Sierra at the time, which is a man portable air defense, the Stinger guys, right?
Oh, okay.
So it was 16 at that point, but it's changed.
We've got 14. Something similar in the Marine Corps. It's called low altitude air defense.
Yeah, and they all go to the same school too at Fort Bliss.
Okay.
Right. So when I was there, they had Marines doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, do this. When you get to airborne school, the Ranger battalion recruiter will come around, and then you can say, hey, look, and they'll pull you over there. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that. So I basic training, AIT, go to jump school. They're like, hey, the Ranger recruiter is going to be here. Show up. I was like the first one there.
And the guy was first in line.
Yeah, I was like standing there, and he opens the door. He comes in, opens the door at the area where they told us to gather, the office or the classroom. And he goes, when you walk in, he opens the door, and he goes, all right, what's your MOS? And I told him, like, I'm a 16 Sierra. And he goes, what the F is that? And I'm like, man, Port Air Defense. Like a Stinger goes, yeah, we don't have to need you. We teach 11 Bravos to fire those. Get the F out of here. I'm like, well, shit. I didn't know that, right? So I was like, I'd already knew where I was going from then, my assignment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to Fort Drum, right? So
Fort Drum is in New York, right?
Upstate New York. And I'm glad that happened, because shortly after me getting to Fort Drum, in late 92, come 93, I got to deploy to Somalia, with less than a year in the Army.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I
was
got
that
to Somalia
in support of the stuff going on in Mogadishu and everything?
Well, a lot more that went on in Somalia than what occurred on those fateful days that we're familiar with, the Black Hawk Down, And if anybody hasn't, I'm sure everyone's watched the movies, but check out the latest thing that came out, like the docuseries about it. It's pretty amazing.
What was the operation called that was going on in 92?
I think that was Gothic Serpent, but the whole operation that started was called Operation Restore Hope. And what got us into Somalia is, it wasn't initially to go after the terrorist ID, that was the warlord in Mogadishu.
Yeah.
It was because the warlords were seizing the food for the famine that was occurring in Somalia. They were seizing the ports in Mogadishu and Kismayu, which was to the south of Mogadishu. So the U.S. military was sent in to ensure the food got there.
Yeah.
And that was part of what the mission I was on. I wasn't there. So we would go into Mogadishu, pick up the rice and escort the convoys, and I say fight our way out of Mogadishu, but you get pop shots at you. They're just because they weren't happy about the fact that we took their food source. Right?
Yeah, because you're taking it from the warlords and giving it to the people. Yeah.
Right. And then we would drive it with these jacked up trucks from African trucks, right? And then just escort them sometimes a day, 2 days to get to the distribution sites. And the furthest inland I got was a place in Baidoa. And it was the NGOs just trying to distribute food, Care, Concern, ICRC. And that was what I did. That was just a young 18-year-old, I think the dumbest private in the Army at the point, that was my mission.
Humanitarian aid mission, basically.
Right. So there was a lot going on, at that point, outside of then, when TF Ranger came in and then they were, okay, well, let's cut the head off the serpent, right? Let's try and find the people that are do what they did, but there was still a lot of other humanitarian aid that the majority of everyone else that was deployed was doing.
Yeah.